The scent of antiseptic couldn't mask the underlying notes of wealth that permeated the mansion's air. Something like aged leather, expensive cologne, and the kind of clean that only comes from daily professional housekeeping. My footsteps echoed against marble floors as I followed Mrs. Vega, the stern-faced housekeeper whose silver-streaked hair was pulled back so tightly it seemed to stretch her skin. "He doesn't like strangers," she said, without turning to look at me. Her accent was thick, Spanish, or maybe Colombian. "But we have no choice now. His regular nurse quit 2 days ago." I clutched my nursing assistant certification like it was some kind of shield. 3 months of night classes after my waitressing shifts, and this was where it had led me. To the sprawling estate of a man whose name made people in our neighborhood cross themselves, or glance nervously over their shoulders. "I understand," I said, though I didn't. Not really. All I understood was that this job paid 4 times what I made at the diner, and with Mom's medical bills piling up and Lily's college tuition coming due, I couldn't afford to be picky. Mrs. Vega stopped abruptly before a set of mahogany double doors. "Mr. Castellano values his privacy. You will assist him with bathing, dressing, and medications. Nothing more. You don't ask questions. You don't talk about what you see or hear. You come. You do your job. You leave. Understand?" I nodded, but my heart was hammering against my ribs. Everyone in the city knew of Victor Castellano, even if they'd never seen his face. His name was whispered in connection with everything from protection rackets to international smuggling. The papers called him the King of the Eastern Seaboard, but the police couldn't, or wouldn't, touch him, and now I was going to bathe him. The doors swung open to reveal a bedroom larger than my entire apartment. Sunlight poured through floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked manicured gardens. The bed was massive, draped in what looked like silk, but it was empty. My eyes were drawn to the far corner of the room, where a man sat in a wheelchair, his back to us, facing the window. "Mr. Castellano," Mrs. Vega announced. "This is Elena Reyes, the new nursing assistant." He didn't turn around, didn't acknowledge us at all. Mrs. Vega gave me a sharp look. "I'll leave you to it. His bath is already prepared in the adjoining bathroom. Call if you need anything. There are guards outside." That last part didn't sound like an offer of help. It sounded like a warning. When the door closed behind her, the silence in the room became a living thing, pressing against my skin. I took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Mr. Castellano, I'm Elena. I'll be assisting you with your bath today." Still nothing. As I moved closer, I could see he was impeccably dressed in tailored pants and a crisp white shirt, despite being confined to the wheelchair. His dark hair was streaked with silver at the temples, neatly combed back from a strong profile. He wasn't old, maybe late 40s, but there was something in the rigid set of his shoulders that spoke of pain. "Would you like me to help you into the bathroom now?" I tried again, moving around to face him. That's when I saw his eyes, dark as midnight, sharp as blades. They cut through me with such intensity that I almost took a step back. Those eyes didn't belong to a disabled man. They belonged to a predator. "So," he said, his voice a low rumble that seemed to reverberate in my chest, "you're the one they sent to see the fallen king." His accent was slight, but unmistakable, adding a musical quality to his English. I swallowed hard. "I'm here to help with your bath, sir." A smile curved his lips, but it didn't reach those dark eyes. "Of course you are. That's what they all say at first." I wasn't sure what he meant by that, but I didn't want to ask. Instead, I moved behind his wheelchair and began pushing him toward the bathroom. He was heavier than I expected, solid muscle beneath the fine clothing. The bathroom was a marvel of marble and gold fixtures. A large tub was already filled with steaming water, the surface scattered with something that looked like flower petals. "Mrs. Vega mentioned you had an accident," I said, setting the brake on his wheelchair beside the tub. "May I ask what happened?" "No." The word was like a door slamming shut. I nodded, reminding myself why I was here. For the money. Just for the money. "I'll need to undress you now," I said, keeping my voice professional. I'd done this during my training, though admittedly, never with someone so intimidating. I'll be gentle." He turned those piercing eyes on me again. "I'm sure you will be. Elena Reyes, 27, formerly of 1842 Parkview Apartments. Daughter of Maria, who has stage 3 ovarian cancer. Sister to Lily, who's studying biochemistry at State. How am I doing so far?" Ice flooded my veins. "How do you know all about you?" He captured my wrist in a grip that was surprisingly strong. "I know everything about everyone who enters my home. Your background check was thorough." My mouth went dry. That's an invasion of privacy. Privacy is a luxury you can't afford. Not with your mother's treatments costing $4,300 a month and your sister's tuition at $22,000 a year. His thumb traced circles on my pulse point, sending unwelcome shivers up my arm. Not when you're 3 months behind on rent and recently relocated to your friend Jade's couch. I snatched my hand away, anger temporarily overwhelming fear. "Are you threatening me?" To my surprise, he laughed. A rich, genuine sound that transformed his face. For a moment, I glimpsed the man he might have been in another life. Handsome, charismatic. "If I were threatening you, Elena, you wouldn't have to ask." The smile faded. "Now, are we going to continue with this bath, or would you prefer to leave? Though I should mention that the position pays $30 an hour, cash, no taxes." The amount made my head spin. That was more than I made in 3 hours at the diner. With that kind of money, I could get Mom into that clinical trial in Boston, could help Lily with her books. "The bath," I said firmly. "Let's continue with the bath." He nodded, seemingly satisfied. Good choice. I helped him out of his jacket first, then began unbuttoning his shirt. My fingers trembled slightly, but I kept my face neutral. His chest was muscled and tanned, marred by scars, some surgical, others that looked like bullet wounds. A massive tattoo covered his right shoulder and part of his chest, an intricate design of a lion surrounded by symbols I didn't recognize. As I reached for his belt, he caught my hands again. "Before we continue, there's something you should know." His voice had dropped lower. "I'm not actually paralyzed." I froze. "What?" "The wheelchair is a precaution. A piece of theater for my enemies who believe they succeeded in breaking me." His grip tightened. "Very few people know this truth. Those who do are either dead or in my innermost circle. You now belong to the latter category. Do you understand what that means?" I didn't. Not fully. But a cold knot of dread formed in my stomach. "Why are you telling me this?" His eyes never left mine. "Because Elena Reyes, I've been watching you for much longer than you realize. You aren't here by accident." My heart hammered against my ribs. "I don't understand." "You will." He released my hands and began to stand, rising from the wheelchair with fluid grace that belied any disability. He towered over me, at least 6 feet tall, broad-shouldered and intimidating. Soon enough, I backed away until I hit the marble countertop. "What do you want from me?" "Right now, just the bath you promised." He stepped closer, forcing me to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. "After that, we'll discuss why you're really here." I should have run. Everything inside me screamed to flee, to get as far from this man and this mansion as possible. But then I thought of Mom's pale face as she endured another round of chemo, of Lily's desperate phone calls about textbook costs, and so I stayed, reaching for the soap with shaking hands as Victor Castellano stepped into the bath, his dark eyes never leaving mine. I had no idea then that this bizarre first meeting, this deception, would be the least shocking part of my entanglement with the most dangerous man in the city. I couldn't have known that by the end of the week, I'd be running for my life. Or that somehow, despite everything, I'd find myself running toward him instead of away. The water rippled around his powerful body as he settled into the tub, the steam rising between us like a veil about to be torn away. "Let's begin," he said. And somehow it sounded like both a promise and a threat. My hands trembled as I lathered the sponge with expensive soap that smelled of sandalwood and something darker, more exotic. Victor Castellano watched me with those predatory eyes, seemingly amused by my discomfort. "You have questions," he stated, not asked. I kept my eyes fixed on the sponge, avoiding the expanse of his muscled chest rising from the water. It's not my place to ask questions. An unusual restraint in someone so young. Water sloshed as he leaned back, exposing the column of his throat. Go ahead. Ask. I may even answer. I hesitated, then met his gaze directly. Why pretend to be disabled? Why tell me the truth? His smile was slow, calculated. The first answer is simple. When your enemies think you're weak, they become careless. The wheelchair provides strategic advantages. I began washing his shoulders, keeping my touch clinical despite the intimacy of the situation. His skin was hot beneath my fingers, marked with more scars than I'd initially noticed. A tapestry of violence etched into flesh. And the second answer? I pressed, surprising myself with my boldness. Why tell you? He captured my wrist again, pulling me closer until I was leaning precariously over the tub. Water soaked the front of my scrubs. Because I needed to see your reaction. To confirm what I already suspected about you. Which is what? My voice emerged as a whisper, that you're desperate enough to keep secrets, but not corrupted enough to exploit them. He released me and I straightened, heart pounding. A rare combination in my world. I resumed bathing him, moving the sponge down his arms, trying to maintain some semblance of professional detachment. I still don't understand why I'm here. You're here because 3 months ago, a man named Daniel Reyes stole something that belongs to me. He said it casually, as though discussing the weather rather than what I assumed was a theft punishable by death in his world. The sponge slipped from my suddenly numb fingers, splashing into the bathwater. Daniel, your ex-husband, yes. Victor's expression hardened. The father of the child you lost. The room seemed to tilt sideways. How could he possibly know about that? The miscarriage had happened 4 years ago, a private tragedy that had ultimately destroyed my brief marriage to Daniel. What does Daniel have to do with me? My voice sounded strange, distant. I haven't spoken to him in years. Perhaps. But he's been watching you. And now, he's trying to use you. I shook my head, backing away from the tub. That's impossible. Daniel moved to California after the divorce. He doesn't even know where I live now. Victor reached for a towel, standing up in one fluid motion. Water cascaded down his body as he stepped out of the tub, unashamed of his nakedness. I averted my eyes, but not before noticing the lean strength of his legs. Legs that had no business belonging to someone supposedly confined to a wheelchair. Daniel Reyes returned to this city 6 months ago, he said, wrapping the towel around his waist. He's working for the Moretti family now. My rivals. The name sent a chill through me. Even I knew about the bloody territory disputes between the Castellano and Moretti crime families. What does this have to do with me? I repeated, though a sickening suspicion was forming in my stomach. Victor moved toward me with the fluid grace of a predator. Despite the towel, he was intensely intimidating, a man accustomed to power, to being feared. 3 days ago, my security team intercepted communications revealing the Moretti's latest plan. They intended to place someone close to me, someone they could manipulate, someone with access to my private quarters and medications. His eyes narrowed. Your application for the nursing position arrived the next day, with impeccable timing and references that, when investigated, proved to be falsified. No, I gasped, genuine shock flooding through me. I applied because I saw the listing online. I needed the money. The listing that was only posted for 4 hours in the middle of the night? The one requiring advanced nursing credentials that you barely possess? He raised an eyebrow. Don't insult my intelligence, Elena. I'm not working for anyone, I insisted, panic rising in my throat. I don't even know where Daniel is. Victor studied me for a long moment. Perhaps not consciously, but someone arranged for you to find that job listing. Someone ensured your application would stand out. Someone is using you as an unwitting pawn. My mind raced. The job listing had seemed too good to be true, far too well paying for the qualifications required. My friend Jade had forwarded it to me, insisting I apply immediately. Jade, I whispered, the pieces clicking together. She must be connected to Daniel somehow. Your roommate has been dating Miguel Santoro for the past 2 months, Victor confirmed. Miguel works for Daniel, who works for the Morettis. The betrayal hit me like a physical blow. Jade had known how desperate I was for money, had offered me her couch when I couldn't make rent. All this time, had she been setting me up? So what happens now? My voice shook. Are you going to kill me? To my surprise, Victor laughed again. That same rich sound that transformed his severe features into something almost approachable. If I wanted you dead, Elena, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He moved past me into the bedroom, where a suit had been laid out on the bed. I followed hesitantly, still trying to process everything he'd told me. Why tell me all this? I asked. Why not just turn me away at the door? He began dressing with practiced efficiency, seemingly unconcerned about my presence. Because you've unwittingly presented me with an opportunity, one that could be beneficial for us both. I crossed my arms over my chest. I'm not going to spy for you or hurt anyone. Noble, but I'm offering something simpler. He buttoned his shirt, those dark eyes fixed on me. Continue exactly as planned. Take the job. Return to your friend's apartment. Act as though nothing has changed. While doing what? Exactly. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He smoothed down his tie. Let them think their plan is working. Let them believe you're their unwitting tool. Meanwhile, you'll be under my protection. And why would you protect me? The question came out more challenging than I'd intended. Victor moved toward me, stopping close enough that I could smell his freshly bathed skin, feel the heat radiating from his body. Because you're the perfect bait. Through you, I can feed the Morettis exactly the information I want them to have. And eventually, you'll lead me straight to Daniel Reyes and whatever he stole from me. The calculation in his voice sent a chill through me. And what happens to me when this is over? Something shifted in his expression. A softening around the eyes, so brief I might have imagined it. You'll be compensated generously. Enough to pay off your mother's medical bills and your sister's education. A new start. Somewhere far from here if you wish. It sounded too good to be true. It probably was. But what choice did I have? What if I refuse? His expression hardened again. Then you walk out that door with nothing. Return to a home where you're surrounded by people working for my enemies, and take your chances. They won't be kind when they discover you've failed in your mission, whether you were aware of it or not. A knock at the door interrupted us. Without waiting for a response, Mrs. Vega entered. Her sharp eyes taking in the scene, Victor fully dressed, me still standing awkwardly in my water-stained scrubs. Your meeting is in 20 minutes, mister. Castellano, she announced, giving me a suspicious look. Thank you, Helena. Victor nodded, then gestured to me. Ms. Reyes will be joining our staff permanently. Please show her to the guest suite where she'll be staying. Both Mrs. Vega and I stared at him in surprise. Sir? She questioned. Ms. Reyes's living situation has become compromised. She'll be safer here. Make the necessary arrangements. His tone left no room for argument. Mrs. Vega's lips thinned, but she nodded. As you wish. Victor turned to me. We'll continue our discussion over dinner. 7 o'clock. It wasn't a request. Nothing with this man was. I need to get my things, I protested weakly. My mother. Your mother will be transferred to the private wing at Memorial Hospital by this evening. He straightened his cuffs. Your sister will receive notification that her tuition has been paid in full through graduation. As for your belongings, give Helena a list of what you need. Nothing will be retrieved from your friend's apartment. My head spun. You can't just rearrange my entire life in an afternoon. The look he gave me was almost pitying. I already have, Elena. The moment you walked through my door, your old life ended. He moved toward the wheelchair, settling into it with practiced ease. The only question now is what your new life will look like. As Mrs. Vega led me from the room, I glanced back to see Victor watching me, those dark eyes calculating, assessing. I had the distinct feeling I'd just made a deal with the devil himself. The guest suite turned out to be larger than any apartment I'd ever lived in, with a 4-poster bed, sitting area, and private bathroom that could comfortably fit my entire former kitchen. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the same manicured gardens visible from Victor's room, and I realized with a start that his suite must be directly above mine. Dinner is served promptly at 7, Mrs. Vega informed me, her disapproval evident in every syllable. Mr. Castellano expects punctuality. When she left, I sank onto the bed, my legs no longer able to support me. In the space of a few hours, my entire world had been upended.